The Padres situation's terrible. And now they're beset by injuries. Four of the top players are now out. Manny Machado with the hip flexor injury. I'm glad it was not a hamstring, but hip flexors take time to heal. Machado is in the middle of a real bad slump. Now, he's dragged his batting average up to 244. We don't know how long he's going to be out. I would assume at least a week. This comes on the heels of the setback again for Yu Darvish with the groin. Maybe a week he'll start throwing again. The lengthier setback, Joe Musgrove. This could be another 4 to 6 weeks for the Padres. They're just in all kinds of shape right now. None of it is really good. And of course, they don't have Xander Bogaerts. The guys they have are playing as hard as they can. Tatis had a 4-4 night. Cronenworth has had a real good bounce back season, but there sure are holes other places. And the thing that's driving me crazy and driving him mad, errors, guys thrown out running bases, guys picked off. Can't believe how careless they are, how many runs that they have eradicated from the guys getting knocked off the base paths. So that's a big issue. Trade rumors. The rumors are out there that A.J. Preller's talked to Miami about veteran left-hander Jesus Luzardo. They tried to get him from Oakland a year ago. I've talked again to the White Sox about young right-hander Garrett Crochet. The problem is they're going to have to give up something significant. I was told the people are asking for Ethan Salas, the bright young catcher who's currently learning his trade at Double-A baseball. I just don't know that Preller is going to be allowed to do that. There may be other guys that he can trade for at a lesser price, but obviously they're shopping to try to find somebody that they could plug in to the rotation. This is complicated because the Athletic and the UT are now both reporting that ownership has kind of inferred to A.J. Preller, we're not taking on bigger contracts any longer, and we want you to stop, quote, thinning out the farm system. So if they're mandating you can't make a deal to bring on somebody's $5 million contract, or they're mandating, no, you're not trading Ethan Salas or Leonardo DeVries, the Class A shortstop. Now, Preller doesn't have the assets to move because they want to see this roster grow with young guys, so that's an issue. And then on top of everything else, what we had with Tucu Marcano, the lifetime suspension in baseball. I guess I could call it a tragedy, but he's not a star. I guess I could call it stupidity. Yeah, very much so. I also guess I could call it he's the victim of where he came from. The bulk of major league, minor league players who've been disciplined by baseball in the more recent couple of years is that a large proponent of them come from Latin America, which probably means lack of education, probably means people he runs with he has not separated himself from. Problem is, guys are now making money that they've never, ever had before. $275,000, the minimum is $450,000. The next year's minimum goes up to $700,000. This is money that these people from dirt poor Caribbean countries have never had access to. Now they got spending money complicated by who they're still hanging with. It's terrible that he would do this, Marcano. And what's even more shocking to me is there were 4 other players who've been suspended, those guys for 1 year, Marcano for his entire career, and a couple of them were Americans. Nobody pay attention to Pete Rose. Nobody reads the signs on the wall about gambling in major league clubhouses. Nobody listens to the spring training seminars the union puts on. I mean, one of them's a journeyman relief pitcher with the Oakland A's, Mike Kelly, who reinvented his career, and now he's gone for a year. So it's really sad, but I think the biggest issue to me is just the lack of education or the inability of players to understand the depths of the damage if you bet on sports, if you bet on baseball. So you got the Ohtani mess with Mizuhara, his personal aide. You got the ongoing investigation for David Fletcher. We're waiting results on that. And now you got this discipline. I think the odd thing is the companies that are doing the gambling have their own security division. They notified Major League Baseball of gambling irregularities on the accounts that these players had. They turned these guys into baseball security and said, we have noticed this. You better pay attention to this. So, I mean, the jurisdiction is out there. I think the help is out there with Major League Baseball. But I think what really bothers me the most was now we've seen all this in spring training with Muzahara and Ohtani to Fletcher to these guys. I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I bet there's more out there that's happening with young players, minor league players who aren't paying attention, don't know the language, don't pay attention to the rules. I think it's just a bad scene. So that's where we are with the Padres as they skid home. It was awful when they lost that series to Colorado. It was bad at the end of the Miami series. They lost a game at Kansas City, and now they lose 3 to Team Utility Man, the Angels, who don't have any players. I ask you the question, can you name me anybody in the Angel lineup that scares you?
No.
End result. John, Padre fan, can you answer the questions without any expletives?
Oh, my wife and I were screaming at the TV last night. Like, how in the hell can you lose to the Angels 3 in a row? And, you win 2, what was it? Schultz said they've won 9 of the last 11 series. If you've won 2 out of 3 for 3 series in a row, which is good, and then you go 0 for 3 in Anaheim, then you're back to square one. You just wiped out all those winning series. The Padres are so frustrating because they're sometimes they look great, sometimes they just look horrible. Just a few other comments. The Tucapita Marcano thing is interesting to me. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with culture or, Latin America or anything, because, Jay Groom was one of the guys. You got Americans that get caught up in this. We have Mizuhara that got caught up in this. So I think it's just young kids that are immature, that feel invincible, like no one will ever catch me. And they just don't have like you said, the education to understand the history of Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson and all the other guys. That's the thing. But it was weird to me that Marcano was a lifetime suspension instant, where the Ohtani thing kind of dragged out. And then a few of the other guys just got a 1-year suspension. So I'm not getting this inconsistency.
Marcano's depth of the suspension and discipline is because he bet on baseball games. He bet on the Pirates while he was with the Pirates. Now, Jay Groom and these other guys, this happened 3 years back, 4 years back in some cases. They were in the minor leagues. They bet on Major League Baseball games. Can't do that. Or maybe they bet with a bookie. You can't do that. That's why they only got a 1-year suspension. They were not betting on their team while they were on the roster, etc. That's why Marcano's suspension was lifetime.
Do you think the Padres had any idea that this was going on when they signed Tucapita Marcano from waivers, or when they traded for Jay Groom?
No, not at all. And again, if it's not out there, how would you investigate what you don't know? And in case of Jay Groom and Mike Kelly, this was 3 years removed when they were in other organizations in the minor leagues, just killing time, placing bets. Well, and then there's the conflicting thing. We have all the sponsorships of all the casinos and all the baseball stadiums and DraftKings and FanDuel and Major League Baseball sponsorship contracts with everybody. Money comes pouring in, but now we got players that have violated the bylaws because they're gambling too. So now we have this argument. Oh, well, if baseball can do all this, why is this not tolerable? Well, the integrity of the game is probably the indirect answer as to why gambling on baseball by players is not tolerable.
Not tolerable, but good on FanDuel and DraftKings for having the investigative staff and notifying Major League Baseball. Exactly. That's wonderful.
Okay, we go.